Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for the Mission Launch Nonprofit Group Coaching Program Overview presented by the Word Woman LLC. The session is going to run about 60 minutes. However, the presentation portion will be about 35 or 40 minutes. The remaining time is set aside for Q&A. Please note, if available, you may use your computer speakers and microphones to both view and listen to the presentation. If these are not available, please use the dial-in number to connect to the audio. This information was included in your confirmation email and is also posted in the chat. If you call into the presentation using your telephone, please be sure that the speakers and microphone on your computer are turned off, as this will prevent echoes and feedback. My name is Michelle Newsom-Smith, and I am owner and principal consultant at the Word Woman LLC. My company has been helping new, emerging, and long-existing nonprofits, as well as agencies and individuals like yourself, for about 8 years now. As a licensed consultant, I provide consulting, coaching, and training services to help you develop the skills, knowledge, and resources that you need to achieve your mission. So what are we going to cover today? As we know, I'm going to give you an overview of the Mission Launch program. We will hear from a past participant. I will share with you the enrollment process, and there will be the time for question and answer. If you are using your computer to both view and listen to the presentation, you won't need to call into the telephone number. You can hear and view at the same time, unless you don't have access to the audio using your computer. Please use the chat to ask questions. You are welcome to post questions throughout the presentation. When we get to the Q&A portion, that's when I will address those questions, but please feel free to use the chat throughout the presentation, and don't feel like you need to wait until the end for that. So what is included in Mission Launch? What is it? So I started Mission Launch in 2016. I work with a lot of organizations, all shapes and sizes, and I work with a lot of folks, or I get contacted by a lot of folks who are in the process of starting a nonprofit or have recently started a nonprofit and feel stuck or feel like they don't fully know or understand how to get from where they are to where they want to be. And so the idea was to bring folks who had these common needs and interests together so that you could both learn and grow together. And so the program is specifically designed for people who are either in the process of, we're right there at the edge of getting ready to start. We've recently started, could be 2-3 years in, but our organization is really more so existing on paper versus actually being what we had intended for it to be. But it's also for folks who may be the executive director of a nonprofit that they didn't start, but they're a new executive director, they're new to the nonprofit sector, and so it's still very much a learning as you go kind of experience for them. The program runs 6 months. Originally it was a 3-month program, but the first cohort didn't want it to end, and so it became a 6-month program. We've historically met just once a month, but now for 2019 we will meet twice a month as a group. So there will be group work, and then there's also the individual work that's happening in between each section. The program is designed to combine the influence of coaching with the benefits of peer support. And so you're going to get coaching and support from me, from other facilitators, guidance around you helping yourself. Because it's one thing that I always like to explain the difference between coaching and consulting. So in consulting, you pretty much figure out what you need, maybe with support of an expert, and then you hand that job over to them, and they do the work and come back to you. In coaching, it's really you doing much of the heavy lifting yourself, but you're getting the support of an expert who can guide you along the way. And that's really what the program is designed to do, as well as help you to get the professional development and training that you need to understand nonprofit best practices so that you are positioning this organization that either you're starting or that you are continuing to grow to not just exist, but to be a thriving organization. You're going to learn through your own personal work and activities toward achieving your own individual goals, but you're also going to get the benefit of being sort of a fly on the wall as other people are working on their own goals. And so maybe you're not even where they are in the process of starting a nonprofit, but because you're able to hear their challenge or hear their celebration of a win that they've achieved, you get the benefit of hearing that information and sort of putting it in your toolbox so that when it's your time to get to that phase in your nonprofit's lifespan, you're able to tap into that and sort of learn from their experience. You're also going to be able to share ideas and to give advice as well as receive advice. So there may be times when other participants in the program are faced with a challenge or sort of thinking through how to address one of the issues or opportunities that they're faced with, and you get to provide some input and feedback. And so it's kind of this leadership development component in that way. So, as I said, you're working on your own individual goals. And so at the beginning, you're going to figure out, well, what is it that I want to get out of this program, while you're also getting support and guidance from the peers around you. So even in the group session, there's some times when you're going to be working individually, and then much of the time it will be group interactive activities. The program is designed to give sort of a holistic approach to the nonprofit startup and growth experience. So the agenda addresses the management, the governance, and operations of your organization. This is a sort of summary snapshot of what the agenda looks like. We're going to talk about the basics of nonprofit best practices and sort of how do you stay in compliance and do all the things you're supposed to do to ensure your organization is in good standing. We're going to, of course, go into boards and board development. How do you recruit the board members? How does the board manage itself? How do you hold your board members accountable, and how do they hold themselves accountable for doing what they're supposed to be doing? Of course, we're definitely going to cover fundraising. In the past, we've had a guest speaker come in and talk about fundraising, particularly fundraising events. So we will talk about individual donors. How do you make a case for support for your organization? How do you plan out a fundraising event? Of course, we'll definitely talk about financial management and fiscal responsibility. How do you ensure that the numbers, because as a nonprofit, we are entrusted to receive contributions, donations from the public. And the expectation is that we're being good stewards with that money, that we're tracking it, that we're using it the way that we said we would. And so we're going to talk about what are the best practices in that, strategic partnerships and how you can do more with support, that you don't want to think about your organization as this operation that happens in a silo, that the only time you reach out into the community is for donations. But how do we leverage what we're doing by partnering with other organizations that maybe serve the same group or who pick up where our program lets off or vice versa? Marketing and outreach, the whole idea of branding. Before today, I was talking to the executive director of an organization whose name is, a very recognizable name, but where in her community, they're still working on brand recognition. And so we'll talk about that and how do you promote your organization? How do you engage stakeholders and others to support what you're doing? And again, this is just sort of a snapshot. There's a deep dive that happens, and so there's a lot of learning, but also a lot of sort of building that happens while you're in the program. The sessions, like I said, we meet twice a month. They're 90 minutes to 2-hour sessions. We have a schedule. Fingers crossed that the schedule won't change. Each session will begin at 6:30. They're going to be on Tuesday evenings. And I've had people ask, well, why are they in the evening? Particularly if you are the executive director of a nonprofit, you want to do this during your day job. But the reason that there's an intention for doing it in the evening, and that's because the hope is to the best of our ability is that our workday has ended and we're able to focus on building our nonprofit, working on our goals, working on our professional development. And so the expectation is that you won't necessarily need to be pulled out because there's a telephone call or you need to be in another meeting at the same time that the session is taking place. There are going to be 2 cohorts, one in Baltimore and another in Frederick. Once you get enrolled, in the details of location and all of that will be shared. Now, but this is a pretty intensive program, and it's by design. That you're going to come out with a lot of things that are on your to-do list having been checked off. So the program components, so there's the one-on-one initial planning session. There's a phone call with me, and this is where we go over your personal development plan, your specific goals and objectives, where you are. You do a self-assessment about the personal development that you want to do as well as professional, any kind of skill sets or challenges that you think you're going to be dealing with. How do you get around those while you're in the program? There is a do-good buddy system, and that's because we all need accountability. I was actually talking with a young lady about the program a couple of weeks back, and she said, you know what, I think I would quit if I don't have an accountability partner. And I said, that's why we have the do-good buddy, because this person is there to sort of cheer you on when you're feeling like, oh, I don't know, to make sure that you stay in the game, so to speak, to make you feel like you're not in this by yourself. We all go to networking events and different activities where we feel like, I don't know anybody in the room. Or perhaps you're feeling like I'm just getting started and I don't really feel like I belong in the room. Through the buddy system, you're able to connect with somebody. I try as best as I can to match you with somebody who is going to be complementary to where you are, and so you'll feel like you're supported by somebody who has an interest in your success, but also there's some commonalities there. So the program begins with the one-on-one. I think this is a duplication of my slides. Okay, so just that part. So the groups are intentionally kept small, and that's because there's a lot more opportunity to make meaningful connections when there's a small group. There's also, a certain level of a safe space created, and that's what we want to do. We want you to feel like you can share whatever you need to share, and I think when there's a smaller group, you're more likely to do that. One of our participants was dealing with a personal struggle while she was in the program, and there were times when she needed to cry, and because we were in a small group, I think she felt more comfortable doing that versus if we had been in sort of a large auditorium or something like that. So you do the one-on-one with me at the beginning, and then for the most part in the program, it's a group activity, but you do have the option to to do some additional individual coaching with me, and we could talk about that during enrollment. So there are guest speakers. This is actually going pretty quickly, but just so you know, there are, I'm not the only person who presents or who shares information with the participants. I bring in experts who can share their knowledge, and it allows for just kind of a broader conversation and different perspectives. So at this point, I'm going to invite our past participant, who I'm looking and I'm trying to see if I see her. Do I see Janice on the line? One moment. I'm going to just open up here.
Hello, Michelle.
Janice, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to hand the call over to you.
All right. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Janice Bryant Baker. Most of my program young ladies call me Miss Janice. I'm the CEO and founder of the Real Win, Inc. I've been in operation now for about 6 years. And what I do is the Real Win is about etiquette and life skills trainings for young girls ages 10 to 15. And I must say, when I first had this idea in my head to do, I really didn't have an understanding of what all was going to be involved. So after 3 years, I was able to find Michelle and get enrolled into her coaching program. And what she did for me was totally awesome. I didn't understand all I needed to do to run or start or maintain a nonprofit organization. So if any of you is in your heart and you have a desire to start a nonprofit organization, then choosing to work with Michelle is definitely your best choice. The reason for signing up with her is a good decision to make because of her personality and her passion and love for motivating folks. The thing is that what she did for me was she could see me, she could hear me, she understood me. She has a real knack for really seeing who you really are. And when she talks to you, she'll listen to you, and she'll help you overcome your barriers. I had to overcome shyness. Sometimes I felt like I wasn't enough, inadequate, but all of that went away because I knew that this was something that I really wanted to do. I really wanted to work with young ladies. I wanted to teach them about etiquette, poise, finance, health, and some kind of spiritual awareness, but I wanted to do it with having fun with them also. But to get to that, I had to learn what it took to be a nonprofit leader, how to have a board, how to achieve my 501c, how to request donations. It was a lot, and the way she set the program up, it helped me to get to that point. And even having a partner, to say accountable partner, I thought, well, I don't need somebody to be talking to and asking me questions, but you really did. I did need that, and I did need to be around people that understood what I was going through, because you can't just talk about it with your friends and family if they don't know how to live it and go through it. And Michelle knows that, and I would say something to her. She says, no, well, Janice, let's think about this. And because of the way she can really see you and be tactful and loving and kind and patient, she really helped me get where I need to be. So there's nothing that I feel I can't do, because now I do know what it takes to be the CEO or the director of a program and keep it running. And I'm just saying, I think if you get to a point when you're at a crossroad and think, oh my God, this is too hard and the assignments are too much, and it's to help you think. And when you have an assignment, it gives you direction, because you say, well, you know what? I never thought of that. Or, oh, now it makes sense. So to write my business plan or to write my elevator speech, just to be able to talk about myself and make sense, it's awesome. And I'm very thankful for Michelle. Love you.
Thank you so much, Janice. Love you back. I'm so excited because, as Janice said, one of the first things that she said to me when she started with the program was, I don't talk to people. And so I was so excited, and thank you so much, Janice, for all of the kind things that you said about me. But I have got to return how excited I am and how proud I am of how much you have accomplished and how you have gotten out of your shell and to be there. For those, Janice isn't looking at the slides, but for those of us who are, the picture at the top on the right-hand side is where she took the young ladies in her program to Victoria's Secret. And she works with low-income young ladies, and so for some of us working women, some of us don't have Victoria's Secret bras, but she was able to get a donation from Victoria's Secret, and not only did the young ladies get bras, but they were fitted and sized and all that good stuff. And that definitely required stepping out of your comfort zone and going and talking to people. And so much has happened in the program. I follow Janice on social media, so I stay abreast of all of that she's accomplishing. So well done. I'm just and just think, way back when you probably didn't even imagine you would ever go into a store and ask them for bras of all things, but it's something. Yeah. So wonderful. Well, I have a couple questions for you, just to kind of give the call for folks on the call a little bit more perspective. You have you have a family, you have a life. There's things going on outside of the real wings. And so can you share with us how you balance your personal responsibilities with participating in the program and meeting the program responsibilities?
Well, it was something that I knew was important. I had to help my family, my husband especially, understand that there were going to be those evenings when I needed to go to the meeting. So I would try to get everything done before time to go to the meeting. And I don't think I was late maybe one time, but most of the time I was there definitely on time. So just had to get things done and make sure that that day was already written on the calendar so everybody would know this is the time and day that I need to be out and at the meeting. And it was very well worth it.
Thank you so much. And so how do you feel having the peer support? I know you said that having the buddy who could hold you accountable sort of one-on-one, but even within the group sessions, how do you feel having peer support impacted your ability to reach your goals?
Well, those moments when I would be one of those ones with the face of crying, they didn't make me feel bad. They said they could understand what I was going through. And sometimes to hear somebody say, oh, my goodness, she's just craving for attention, they didn't look at it that way, and that wasn't the case. They understood, and then they could say words to me to help me understand, it was okay, and Janice, you're going to make it. And we all just kind of like gave each other, a hug of encouragement to say, you will not fail. You can do this. And if you put your mind to it, sometimes we had to have a little prayer for each other and, believe that there was a higher being that was going to make sure we got where we needed to be. But you have to put the work in it and your heart, and it can happen. Trust me. I'm just a regular person, and I didn't never think that I was going to be as far as I've gone but I think and I'm still in touch with those ladies to this day. If something's going on, I'll say, oh my goodness, guess what just happened? We can just still love on each other, and you do need that.
And I love how you said that your family members, though they are supportive of you, they don't fully understand. And so having somebody, a group of folks who understand the process and the commitment and the sort of being in the trenches of starting and growing an organization, who, when you're talking about something, they're not critical of it because they understand it from being in it.
Right. Yeah.
So if you were talking to someone who was on the fence about participating in the program, what would you tell them?
First of all, I would tell them if it wasn't put in your mind, then that means that you weren't supposed to do it. But because it was in your mind, it's in your heart to do it, you just need to do it. And even though they may be afraid, I said, that is one thing that God did not give us. He did not give us fear. We just put those ideas in our own head. And trust me, I heard nothing but, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? You're not enough. You're not smart enough. But to know that I could hear in my own heart that it was worth it and to go ahead and do it, I'm glad that I did, and I'm thankful that I met Michelle. And I prayed to say, God, put somebody in my life that's going to do me some good. And there was Michelle. And I mean, yes, I was nervous when I first met her and all that. Okay, well, Janice, you have to do this, and you need to express something or say something. And I'm thinking, well, I'm a shy person. And she's like, okay. But to be able to do it, I would tell somebody, and I always tell them, trust what I tell you. You can do it. And I'll give them Michelle's information and let them know that this lady understands everything there is about nonprofits, from just writing a thank you letter to writing a will you give me letter, like a donation letter, to just setting up your board, setting up your volunteers. She helped me write out like the questions that I need to ask them to be like interview them to be a volunteer. There was not one thing about the nonprofit that Michelle cannot answer for you. I'm telling you, it was the best thing that could ever happen for me.
Well, thank you so much. I'm over here grinning. My cheeks are going to be hurting.
Well, I'm telling you, it's always true.
Well, I do try to, be a resource, and when I don't have any answer, I go out and get it, because I do have access to folks who have, deeper knowledge in certain areas, and then sending you all off to different conferences and things like that where you can get more information. I can remember one time one of the participants, I had sent you guys off to the accounting symposium, and she came back and said, "Oh my God, Michelle, this is a real thing. Like this is real." And it was just interesting to me that once she was sitting in front of those accountants and hearing them talk about how you have to track the money and the legal and financial stuff, she obviously didn't get that from me. She didn't get the level of real that it was. And that's why I think it's important to go off to different places. And then it's wonderful, like, going to Maryland Nonprofits Conference and seeing you guys there. Yes. Well, thank you so much. I so greatly appreciate it. And I'm so excited that we continue to stay connected, because it's been a while since your cohort ended.
Right.
And
I think
you've Go ahead.
I think I was in the group when we only were doing it for the 3 months, and we were all going, "No, we're not ready to go. We're not ready yet." And we went for the additional 3 months. So I think it's a good idea that you have decided to do it as a 6-month plan instead of a 3 month. We definitely needed it. Thank you.
Well, I practice what I preach, and so the feedback that you all gave, I do evaluations with everything, and so getting that feedback, definitely I put that in my toolbox. So
Okay?
thank you so much, Janice. I'm going to
You're welcome.
switch us over to the Q&A portion. Actually, you know what? Let me keep going. I'll if you have questions, you can feel free to write those in the chat box, but I'll wait until we get to the end for the questions. So thanks again, Gina. So how do you enroll? So nonprofit startup and leadership is like starting any other business, and it could be lonely, to be honest with you. Particularly, like Janice says, if you're in a program where you're starting a business and you don't have the family support, you don't have the folks around you, a partner who's doing this with you, it can be lonely. And so being in the program gives you the ability to have a group who's supporting you. It's definitely fun. We have a good time. We're learning, but we're having a good time. You get to be in a mastermind kind of system where there's this collective thinking and sharing of ideas and reflections that are happening that you wouldn't get if you were doing this all sort of on your own. One of the things that I often say to folks is, you know, when folks call me or they tell me about something that they're working on or they're doing, or they share documents with me, and immediately I know, you Google this, you found this one. And I'm not to say there's anything wrong with Google, because I Google myself. But the thing is that if you are Googling and you're pulling up documents or you're pulling up information and you don't know if it's current, you don't know if it's aligned with best practices, then you may be doing your organization a disservice unintentionally. And so having the ability to know that you're getting information that is best practices based, that's current, you know all of the tools and resources you're going to be using, that there shouldn't be any issues with them once you're out of the program. One of the other benefits of the program, of course, is the cost. So if you were to look at this from the perspective of, well, how much would the investment be if we were doing one-on-one coaching, if you were getting individual support? At my basic level, which is once a month meeting with me, it's $1,800 investment. And so for the average person who's starting a nonprofit, that's going to be cost prohibitive. And so enrollment in the program allows for you to get the same level of support, just not focused only on you, but the same information and the same level of guidance at a much more affordable rate. So how do you enroll? The nonprofit, I was doing multiple things here, so I'm going to reemphasize this. Being in the program is going to allow for you to avoid that loneliness. It's an investment of $549 if you pay in full up front, but you do have the option of payment plans. If you use option 1, it's $290 at enrollment, and it's $290 that balances you the first of the month, the third month in the program. If you use option 2, it's $200 to enroll, and 4 monthly payments of $100, which are due the first of each month while you're in the program. So at this point, I'm ready for Q&A. I hope that I was able to provide a certain level of information and address many of your questions. Specific questions, and you're on the phone, you're going to dial *6, and you'll be added to the queue, and I'll know that you're ready to ask a question. If you're on a computer, you could just click Q&A button that's on the toolbar, and you'll be placed in the queue as well. Don't be shy if you have a question. And again, some people don't want to speak on the phone. That's fine. If you have a question, you can type it into the chat. And looks like I have one there. Okay. Let's see. Hello, are you there?
Hi. It was great hearing about your program and all the testimonies and all the great information that you helped with assisting. My name is Ann, and I'm interested in starting a nonprofit, hopefully this year. And one of the questions that I have is about sustainability in regards to the nonprofit. Do you also teach different strategies of how you can obtain like ways to sustain your nonprofit?
Yes, so as part of the fundraising component, we talk about the budget planning, we talk about the different fundraising strategies, we talk about sort of how, one key thing is how do you make sure you're engaging your board members in giving to your organization, as well as going out and soliciting support on behalf of your organization. And most importantly, we talk about the fact that grants are a great way to fund your organization, but they cannot and should not be your only source. So we talk about diversifying the fundraising effort.
Okay. And I kind of joined the group late, so how long is the program? And can you repeat the cost again, please?
Sure. So it's 6 months. No worries about joining late because this is being recorded, and you'll receive a copy of a link to the recording. It's $549 if you pay in full, and then there are payment plan options if you prefer that, and that'll be included. That'll be included in the follow-up materials as well.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
And sorry, one more question. Where is the meeting in Baltimore?
So I'm currently, it's most likely going to be in Baltimore City. I'm negotiating with a couple locations. One location that we used previously, but because of the number of dates, I'm just trying to make sure all of those dates are going to work out because I don't want to have to move us at any given time. But it will definitely be in Baltimore.
Okay. It may be city or county?
Most likely city, but possibly county. We've done county before, near Towson. We've done in the city. Actually looking. I'm trying to make sure wherever we are, it will be conveniently located. Where there'll be access to public transportation and that kind of thing. But thank you for being on the call, and thank you for your question.
No problem. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so it looks like I have another question. Here's one in the chat. It says, if I was enroll next week, would our first group in Frederick be in April per the schedule shown in your previous slide? Yes, so you can enroll anytime leading up to the time that we start. But yes, based on the schedule that's listed in the slides, that will be the first day. And you would enroll in a particular cohort. So if you're enrolling in Frederick, you should plan to attend all of the Frederick sessions. If you enroll in Baltimore, you should plan to attend the Baltimore sessions. Thank you for that question, Carlia. I see you there. So are there any other questions? Feel free to post in the chat, or if you're on the phone, you can hit *6 and you'll be entered into the queue, or click Q&A button on your computer screen and you'll be entered into the queue. And as I said, you will get a follow-up email. It will include a link to the session. It will also include a link to the program information, which includes, if you go to the bottom of the second page of the program brochure, it'll show you, it'll give you a link to where you actually sign up. You're very welcome, Carlia. She's saying thank you, Michelle and Janice, so I'm going to say thank you for the two of us. And we're excited that you're going to start as well. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Again, thank you so much. If you have questions and you didn't think about it before and you want to send me a quick email, feel free to do that as well. Just respond to the email that you get and follow up to the session. So thank you all. Have a great evening. As always, keep doing good.